In this video, we are actually going to go back into the reading assigned for week 3 and the Blackboard Created Review, and I am going to demonstrate through out loud thinking how I go about finding answers to the Blackboard Created Reviews based on readings. Why should you follow along in this video? There are a lot of reasons. One is there will be a big payoff in continuous dividends when it comes to doing future Blackboard Created Reviews based on the reading or based on lectures that I embed in future reviews. You'll get a good sense of what it takes to answer some of the questions and prompts. You'll discover new prompts and kinds of questions in other Blackboard Created Reviews, but this will give you a solid foundation about what it takes to work through a given prompt or question based on a reading and/or a lecture. This video assumes that you have already followed the video here in step 1, and it assumes that you have followed step 2 in accordance with what was presented in a lecture or coaching video in step 1. This video also assumes that you have followed step 3, that you have opened up the Blackboard Created Review in a link that is further below. And now you are here at step 4 to do some of the Blackboard Created Review with the professor. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. So if you haven't done step 3 yet, go ahead and do that. You're going to open up the Blackboard Created Review by clicking here. All right. Now to do the Blackboard Created Review, you need to make sure that you have opened up the reading on which it was based. Again, I assume that you've already done the reading, pages 3 through 12. So I need to go back into the reading. So I'm going to go into the ebook, click on the link to get the assignment or to get to the pages assigned. This might look different from you. This is the instructor's view, so it might look different. So I am going to look for page 3. One thing that I'm going to talk to the publisher about is that it's very hard to see the numbers. So know that from now on that when I refer to a page in the book, or at least in the ebook, that you're going to have to really carefully and slowly scroll to see these light gray numbers. Often when you're doing a reading, the number is hidden within a paragraph. So right there, look at that. So I just want to warn you about that ahead of time because as you will see in the Blackboard Created Review, I often tell you what page to go to, or I'll give you a paragraph number. If I give you a page, you're going to have to look really hard, unfortunately, for the number. Hopefully that will change. If you're ever asked to do a survey for the book, I recommend you comment on how hard it is to find the page numbers. All right, so that said, this is the first page of the reading. Depending on how big you have the window open, the reading might look different. So you can see that the paragraph, each sentence gets longer as I expand this. So the sentences might not end and begin on the same lines when you're looking at your version of the ebook or if you're using the physical book, because it depends, of course, on whether you're using the physical book and how big have you expanded your window. Now, that said, notice how my expanding the window did make it easier to see the page number. I still think the publisher can do a better job making the page numbers stick out. So if you are having a hard time seeing the page numbers, try expanding your window. And know that the more that you narrow your window, the harder it might be to see the actual page numbers. They might merge into the text. One more thing before we get started is I found a kind of cool tool that I didn't know, but suspected existed, but I didn't know because I hadn't examined it. But in terms of, remember I talked about doing a first reading? If you prefer or want to read along, you can do a read aloud
Chapter
to text
1,
speech.
Ethics and the Examined Life, Ethics or Moral Philosophy.
It's kind of dry, but if you're auditory or driving, this could be useful, and you can even pick from different names. That said, I still think it's good to look at the actual text, but this could definitely be an alternative to the approach that I give you in the step 1 video. Maybe listening to this, maybe it will give you more of a lecture feel, a traditional classroom experience if you are not one of those students who are into the online experience. Okay, so as I said, I assume that you've already done step 2. You've already read these pages. Oh, one other thing that I want to call to your attention is that they lay out each chapter kind of weird. So this is one section in one chapter. You might get to the point in the Blackboard Created Review where you're like, well, I don't know where to find the answers to the rest of the questions because I've scrolled all the way down. Okay, so let me show you how I'm doing it. I've scrolled all the way up and down. Now, are all the other answers in this reading? No. You have to go down to this arrow to get to other sections in the same chapter to answer another set or another question or prompt in a given Blackboard created review based on the reading. Just a heads up there. All right, so now I'm going to go back to the reading. Again, I assume that you've already done the reading and you're now ready to start on the Blackboard created review. So to do that now, I'm going to have to go back into the week 3 bundle, so give me a moment. Okay, and I will now open up the Blackboard. I think I already opened this up, but I'm opening it up again. All right, so now I've got that. So what you'll want to do, and what I'm realizing now is that I could have done this, but it's not necessary, is you'll have 2 browser windows open if you're using the ebook. So you'll have to open up 2 browser windows, one with this open and the other one with the ebook open. If you have a physical copy of the book, you can use it, but you're going to have to figure out what the page numbers are on your own. So I've done the reading, I've got a sense of the topic, I've done my intellectual warm-up, or I've listened to it. Now I'm going to look at the question. It is extremely important, as I stated in giving you a heads up for the orientation review, that you read every single word in the question or prompt. This says, focus on the first paragraph in the reading for chapter 1. Fill in the missing words for the items below. Be sure to type in the words correctly, as I do not have time to check for typos. In the instructions that I gave you initially in the orientation review, I stated that blank spaces get only one word, that you only type up one word per blank space, unless otherwise directed. And I would love to give you credit for typos or misspellings, but I just don't have the time. Sometimes if I have the time and I notice there's a tiny spelling error or a typo, I will give you points, but as you know, I'm so interactive and hands-on that I often don't have the time to do that. But notice how you were told where to go in the reading, right? This is when we start to focus on the trees. So the way that you have to do this now is you already know where to go. So one thing you could do is you could go back to the digital reading and you can say, okay, she wants me to deal with the prompt that's going to focus on paragraph 1. I think that I'll go ahead and quickly reread paragraph 1. So then you can do that. If you want to, pause the video if you want to practice and reread the paragraph. Okay, so now she wants me to fill in blanks based on paragraph 1. So she has a missing word here. And so now I'm just going to pretend I'm a student. Refers to our beliefs concerning right and wrong, good and bad. Oh yeah, so I think I remember reading something about that in the paragraph. The philosophical study of morality. Morality refers to beliefs concerning right and wrong, good or bad. Wow, she almost took that verbatim. And the key word is morality. And this further, oh look, I click on the words in bold and I get the information. I also get information. Now, one thing I want to point out to you guys is that when you're doing Blackboard created reviews, you want to focus on the information in paragraph form, not text boxes. You might want to write that down. Okay, so she has this sentence as the first item for item one, as the first element of item 1, and I think the missing word is morality. Let me go back and check that. Does that make sense? Morality refers to our beliefs about right and wrong, good or bad. Morality refers to beliefs concerning right and wrong, good and bad. That's very similar to what she said. I think she said about right and wrong, good or bad. I do think that I have good reason for thinking that this is the answer. Okay, so can you guys see how I worked through that, the step-by-step approach I took in my mind? That was just because I'm trying to be intellectually attentive and intellectually careful. That's what I'm trying to show you, how to work slowly and carefully and attentively through something to make it more likely that you get correct answers. These beliefs can include judgments, and then she wants me to type up 1, 2, 3, 4 other things in a list. So I know that she typically presents items in reading-based review in order. Each question will be presented in the order in which I find the answers, but also she presents in order elements within a single question or item. So these beliefs can include judgments. So let's see what the next sentence is. Maybe my answer is in there. Okay, so can include judgments. That's straight out of what she has. And then I do see 4 words listed right after that, and she has 4 blank spaces. So this must have the answer that I'm looking for: values, rules, principles, and theories. Excellent. So now, wow, she's really making me take a deep look at that paragraph. She really wants me to make sure that I see some of the most fundamental and powerful concepts in the reading. And that is what I do. I often use fill in the blank to show you words that point to fundamental and powerful concepts in a given reading. Concepts have 3 elements: a word that names the concept, a definition for how the word is used, and examples. When you're doing fill in the blank, I'm often having you focus on recognizing words that name fundamental and powerful concepts. So what I'm saying here then is that morality is a fundamental and powerful concept, as is judgments, values, rules, principles, and theories. These are all really important terms in the philosophical approach to ethics. All right, so she has 2 more blank spaces. These beliefs, I know I'm still in chapter 1 and that I'm still in the first paragraph. So now I need to go back to the reading to see what else it has to say. These beliefs help guide our actions, define our values, and give us reasons for being persons we are. Okay, so that's about what ethics can do with respect to our beliefs for us. And so what was that blank item about? So that was about what? These beliefs help blank our actions. I think I just reread that right now. These beliefs help blank our actions. These beliefs help blank our actions. Oh, so she must want the word guide, and I bet the rest of it's right here. Define our values, give us reasons for being the persons we are. So I know help guide our actions is part of what she's looking for. So help guide our actions and give us blank for being the persons we are. Okay, so help guide our actions and give us blank for being the persons we are. So define our values. She doesn't have that, but I don't have to worry about that. If she doesn't have this phrase, I'm just going to skip over it. She's not asking us to find anything with that, but she does give me the answer I think I want here. Give us what for being the persons we are? Give us reasons. Okay, so I think that's what she wants. I don't see anything about values or defining, so no, she skipped that one. So she wants the word reasons here. Okay, now I'm going to break out of role modeling intellectual attentiveness and intellectual carefulness and going through something deliberately and slowly with sustained effort and immense concentration. You can always save your answer. Just keep in mind that saving your answer does not count as a submission, an on-time submission, much less a late submission. Okay, so now we're going to go to question 2, and this is going to be the last item that we do together, but it'll still help you deal with some items. Which of the following say something false in light of what you read in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th paragraphs in the reading? So this means that given that I'm pointing you to the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th paragraphs, I'm looking for big ideas. And chances are that I've pulled a statement that either aligns with the given paragraph or does not align with the given paragraph. So you want to get the big ideas, but you still have to look at those paragraphs again for a second time. You're looking for something that is false. That means that at least it could be that only one of these is false, but notice what I have here. All of the above are false. If it turns out that each one is false, then you have to click all of the above are false. But of course, if at least 2 of these are true, then you're only going to select one as false. Sometimes I will also put none of the above are false. Okay, so, or I put none of the above is false here, and then I put all of the above are false here. So always read through these items carefully. A lot of students get tripped up on multiple choice because they don't look for words, keywords in the STEM like false or true, aligned or not aligned, consistent or inconsistent. A lot of students waste time looking through the reading because they're not looking for my pointers where I'm telling them where to go back in the reading. Okay, so again, as I stated in the video for step 1 of task 1A, you cannot approach this as thinking just like a survey. You're not just doing a Q&A kind of exercise. I'm making you slow down and go back into the reading to make you look carefully at the reading. We're building intellectual carefulness and intellectual attentiveness. We're doing a slow, closer reading of the basics in our book. So now I have to go back to these paragraphs, the third, fourth, and fifth. Since she likes to go in order, I'm stepping back into my student mode. I'm thinking that she probably pulled this from paragraph 2. She probably pulled this one from paragraph 3, and she probably devised this one on paragraph 4. Now, she might be giving me a statement that is very close to something in a paragraph, but is not actually representing the paragraph accurately, with absolute precision, with absolute accuracy. Maybe one of these statements distorts something, and so that's why it would be false, or maybe it just right out contradicts something. Maybe it says something that's not even mentioned in that paragraph. So that's what I'm going to need to look for. So let's see if this idea is in the second paragraph. You have been assimilating, modifying, or rejecting moral norms you absorbed from your family, community, and society. Okay, so she told me to go to the second paragraph. So that's paragraph 1. This must be paragraph 2. Okay, so I think I'll reread this paragraph. So if you want to reread this paragraph, you can. You can also try to scan that, but it's talking about ethical norms that we've accepted. And so I'm going through here, the scope and continued relevance, cannot escape it, cannot run away from it, persist in my culture and mind. After all, for much of your life, you have been assimilating, modifying, or rejecting the ethical norms you inherited from your family, community, and society. Isn't that what this says? You have been assimilating, modifying, or rejecting the moral norms you absorbed from your family, community, society? Yes, so that's true. That's not the answer. That's not the answer for this multiple choice item. Everything is at stake when we're doing ethics. Let's go to the third paragraph. So that's paragraph 2. This is paragraph 3. It says, what is at stake when we do ethics? So yeah, the answer has to be in there. In an important sense, the answer is everything we hold dear. In other words, everything is at stake when we do ethics. So this statement does not say something false with respect to the paragraphs. If I look at these 3 paragraphs, I will see that this is a statement that aligns with what the author says. What about this one? So I know that by now that the answer is either this one, and actually you can know that the answer is this one. I hate to admit it, but yeah, if you figure out that both of these are true, you can figure out that this one must be false. Why? Well, this one can't be false. Why? This one cannot, this isn't the answer because we already said that these are true, so we can't say they're above, all, or false. But what if I have all of the above are false? Or none of the above are false? Yeah, what if I had none of the above are false? You'd still need to look at this one. In fact, I think I'm going to add that. I'm going to add none of the above are false. So if I have none of the above are false, you'd still need to look at the statement. So let's go ahead and look at that. Ethics matters because it requires careful reflection using concepts and reasoning particular or peculiar to religion. Okay, so ethics matters, and it's talking about using concepts and reasoning peculiar to religion. That's probably going to be in the third paragraph. So let's see. 1, 2, 3. Oh, no. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. And not the third paragraph, but the fourth. Okay, so fourth. Here we go. So here's a bunch of questions. Most of us, so they're asking questions, so I'm not looking for questions. So this says, most of us, regardless of our opinions on these issues, would say that they matter a great deal. That's the questions. If they matter, then ethics matters. I think that's what she was talking about in that preview item. She says ethics matters. Okay, I'm in the right spot. Because these are ethical concerns requiring careful reflection using concepts and reasoning. So she's talking about using concepts and reasoning peculiar to religion. And in here it says what? Peculiar to ethics. So you can see here, I'm testing you to make sure that you understand exactly what the point is that is made here. Some people think that religion and ethics are one and the same thing, but they're not necessarily. One can have an ethical system and a morality without religion. A lot of religious people do not think so, but a lot of philosophers, including Christian philosophers, including theistic philosophers, people who believe in a God, think we can. So this says reasoning particular to ethics, and this says what? Reasoning particular to religion. So that is the item that is false. That would be the correct answer. All right, so I hope you can see how carefully I worked through this. Like I said, this is not something to think of as just a hoop that you jump through. This is designed to help you pick up and highlight important points. You could actually highlight the text based on this. So you could highlight these statements in the reading if you wanted to. So now that I know that the professor thinks that's important, I could use this highlighting function to highlight. Do you see how I did that? I could go back up here and I could say, okay, in the review, she highlighted this part, so I am going to go and highlight this part because in the review, she focused on that, so she thinks that that is very important. Do you see how you can do that there? I think that's all we're going to work through together. You will have other kinds of items. You can see that you have another multiple choice item. You have a matching item. These are challenging. When you're doing these matching items right here, you're doing sentence completions. These stems right here are either verbatim or nearly verbatim with what you get in the reading. Again, you want to follow the order and look for clues about where to find the answers. You would be right to assume that these items are taken in the order of the paragraphs that I tell you to look at. Look at this one, it says 6th, 7th, 8th, and then you skip to the 12th. Again, be careful when reading the prompts. There will be 2 answers for each of these, at least 2 answers that look like they could be used. Again, I want you to practice intellectual attentiveness and carefulness in choosing between the 2 answers that look tempting for this one. I do not do trick questions, by the way, when it comes to multiple choice or matching. I don't like the concept of a trick question. I think that's mean. Why would a professor give you trick questions? I also don't like the connotation of trick because that sounds like the professor is deviant or mean-spirited in some way, and I take offense at that personally. I do not wish to be mean or to practice trickery or, I'm not getting any kind of amusement out of, or wouldn't get any amusement out of tricking you about anything. So I don't allow students to talk to me about my stuff in terms of trick questions, or at least I discourage it, I should say. What I do present to you in a more helpful mindset for us as a team, and I think for you as a student, is to think of the multiple choice and matching items in this class and any class as opportunities. Say what? Yes, opportunities to practice intellectual carefulness and intellectual attentiveness. In doing so, when you see that answer, when you really take your time to be intellectually attentive and careful, you're looking closely at questions, stems, and prompts, the possible answers, the readings, the lectures, and you are making sure that you have a clear, accurate, and precise understanding of whatever you're learning about. So again, whenever you see matching and multiple choice and things of that nature, there is no trickery going on. If it seems like there's tricking that I'm trying to do, get rid of that concept and say, oh, she's giving me an opportunity to be intellectually careful and attentive because she wants to make sure we have a clear, accurate, and precise understanding of what we are learning.